Jai ba bim bam, jai ba ba bim bam, jai ba bim bam, jai ba 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 ba, jai ba bim bam, jai ba ba bim bam, jai ba 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 ba.
Hine matov umanaim. Hine matov. How good it is. It is our minhag here at Temple Chai as we begin to settle down. It is our minhag here to make that transition. We're going to make that transition as we bring down the conversation. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down and gather close. We've had the time for schmoozing, for socializing. Now let's get even closer. Let's gather around this table, please, around the candle table. Let's get even closer. Let's turn towards each other, but turn towards each other by drawing near as we continue with song. Continue with the Kabbalat Panim, the turning towards Shabbat.
Yeah. It's okay.
Akim gam yachad hine mato shevet akim gam yachad hine mato shevet akim gam yachad hine mato
We are all witnessing the rebirth of nature with spring, the rejuvenation of nature. Well, what about the rebirth and the rejuvenation of our spirits, of our souls? Well, this is what Shabbat is all about. It's all about that abstract, that's something that we can only create when we choose to be in a place such as this. In effect, to to take a look at the rebirth of nature and say that we are going to take some time and we are going to devote our energy and our spirit to rejuvenate our souls. What wonderful ways to do this than through prayer, but also through the celebration of one of our youth becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. And of course, the celebration of 4 women of our congregation who have made the choice to become adult B'not Mitzvah. I can only imagine what we are going to experience tonight and tomorrow morning. The whole idea of the rebirth of our spirits and our souls. It's my hope and my prayer that when we leave the sanctuary tonight or tomorrow, that you're different, that there's something special, that there's that abstract, that you feel like your back is more straight. You have a little more energy, a little more spirit, a little more confidence. We do this when we gather in prayer, and we do this when we celebrate Ryan Levitt becoming bar mitzvah in particular. So if you'll please, Levitt family, if you'll gather close. And thank you for accepting the honor of lighting the Shabbat candles. And may the beauty of these candles represent the rejuvenation of our souls. And please, around the table, if you would like to help, light your own particular candles. Wonderful. If you want to hold his hand, you can do this together.
Baruch Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And now we raise either a glass of grape juice or wine. And if you're not holding a glass of grape juice or wine, as we walk into the sanctuary and you walk by the 2 blue tables, you can pick up a little Dixie cup, either wine or juice, and this way you'll get to add to the sweetness of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher tzion Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu hidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodecha v'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim. Let's maintain this spirit, this feeling, this emotion that we've created as we enter the sanctuary, in song. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yai ba bim bam, yai ba bim bam, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba ya ba ba ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba bim bam, yai ba 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 ya ba 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 ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba bim bam, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba ya ba ba ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba bim bam, ya ba 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 ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba bim bam, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba ya ba ba ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba bim bam, ya ba 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 ya ba 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 ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba bim bam, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba ya ba ba ba, yai ba bim bam, yai ba ba bim bam, ya ba 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 ba. Maya fehayo, Shabbat shalom. Maya fehayo, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Maya fehayo, Shabbat shalom. Maya fehayo, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Maya fehayo, Shabbat shalom. Maya fehayo, Shabbat shalom. Bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam, chitty, billy, billy, bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bim. Chitty, bitty, bitty, bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 shalom, Shabbat, 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 shalom. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.
We enter now, dear friends, into the spirit of Shabbat. We warmly welcome you here to Temple High, to this, our spiritual home, to our celebration of Shabbat, this very, very precious moment in time. Especially those who are visiting with us here, we We especially want to welcome you to this very special opportunity to celebrate Torah, to celebrate 4 wonderful women in our congregation. And it's a bit of a deja vu moment, as I mentioned to them, that I feel like I was just here last week doing the same thing. Yes? But each journey we know is unique, each journey is special, and each journey we celebrate. I also know that there may be those amongst us who want to make sure to capture this moment, on your smartphone and make sure by the end of the night to have it up on Facebook so all your friends can watch the wonderful bat mitzvah that took place of your good friends. I'm going to ask, please, that you kind of refrain from that moment, that we say here in our congregation, Hineni, that we're here, we're present, we're taking in all of the wonderful feelings and memories that are celebrated here in this very, very moment. So I'd like to invite all of us to turn to page 570. On page 570, in Jewish tradition, we have been for the last several weeks in a period of counting of days. Counting of days from the second day of Pesach, of Passover, until the next major festival, Shavuot, the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. And we call this period of counting Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer of 49 days. And we are drawing very, very near. We are on the 46th day today of that counting. And so we recognize this as not only counting, but a spiritual journey of our own lives. So before us in the middle of the page, in just a moment, we're going to join together in the blessing for the counting of Omer. But before we do so, the words at the top of the page, Hinei, Muchan, Unzuman, we do this with a very, very simple and lovely melody that goes like this. Yalla la, yalla la, lai, lai. Yalla la, 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 lai, lai. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Once again, ya la 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 la, lai. Ya la 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 la, lai. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Now we're going to use the words. Hineni muchan unzuman. Hineni muchanun zuman, hineni muchanun zuman, hineni muchanun zuman. With these words, we are now ready to fulfill the mitzvah, the obligation of counting the Omer. And we'll read the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign over all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom, shisha ba'arva'im yom shehem shisha shavuot va'arba'a yamim la'omer. This is the 46th day out of the 49 days. The 46th day, making 6 weeks and 4 days of the Omer, and we say now, Amen. Our words now of Kabbalat Shabbat, of welcoming of Shabbat, page 144. And before us, the words of the Chatzi of the Reader's Kaddish, page 144. For exalted and hallowed be God's great name in the world which God created according to plan. May God's majesty be revealed in the days of our lifetime and in the life of all Israel and of our entire world, speedily and imminently, to which we now all say together, Amen.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Amei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yalama divra kirutei v'yamnik malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon Uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Uvizman Karib, Limeru.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam Ulal Me'al Maya,
Yitbarach.
Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, Yitbar V'dabromam V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yidaleh, V'yidhalal, Shamei Dekodesha, Richu Lahela, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata,
We all rise together,
Tushvechata, V'nechemata, Damiran Be'alama, V'meru.
Amen.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvarach. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever.
La, la, la,
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach.
We continue together on page 148. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ba'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirsono. Orei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, uma'avdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai Sebaot Shemo. El Chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Arabim.
We continue on page 150. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha, ahavta Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim otanu lamadata. As you taught Torah to those whose name I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is glorious, God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad.
Please be seated. We join together chanting V'ahavta on page 154.
Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'elem asher anochi mitzavekam hayom
Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Shabbat Shalom. Tonight's portion, Naso, includes an explanation of the Nazarites, those who voluntarily take a vow to serve God. I read and reread the portion and kept asking myself, what was moving these people to take a vow? To what end? What does it mean to take a vow? After thinking a lot about this and talking this over with Rabbi Cohen, I was struck that my struggle with this Torah portion might actually mirror what brought me to this place today, of becoming bat mitzvah. As a child, I was a deep thinker, questioning everything, including my Judaism. Although my family was most definitely Jewish, practicing many Jewish rituals and observing holidays, I was never convinced as to why I was required to believe just because my family did. When I would ask why we did or believed certain things, the response was always the same: because this is what we do. I could not accept that. I had no interest in going to Hebrew school, and my parents did not push me to go. As a young girl, my parents had me watch a mini-series about the Holocaust. The show had a profound effect on me. I was so upset that someone might dislike me or even kill me simply because I was Jewish. I had repeated nightmares about this and had a lot of shame because I always denied my religion in my dream, afraid of admitting my Judaism and being killed. That theme followed me throughout my young adult life. I was hesitant to disclose my Judaism to people I met and was extremely sensitive to anti-Semitism. Instead of feeling pride about my heritage, I hated that people judged me for something about myself over which I had no control. It would be a long time before I met the man I eventually married. When I started dating Peter, I was introduced to his parents. Both were Holocaust survivors who lost their entire immediate families during the war. Peter's dad was in a concentration camp, and as a teenager was the sole survivor of a family of 6. He lost his parents, his older brother Leo, his younger brother Severin, and his baby sister Leah. Peter's mom was sent into the mountains at the age of 7 to live with strangers, while her parents and older brother Richard were sent to the concentration camps to die. I loved Peter's parents and had such great respect for what they made of their lives after surviving what I was sure was a childhood I could never have survived. The one thing I wanted most in my life was to have a child of my own. After meeting my in-laws, my desire to have a child became not only one for myself, but for them as well. They had no grandchildren, and I wanted so badly to give that to them. Those who know me well know that I came close to not having a child. I was nearing 40. Several doctors told me I would never have a baby because of some medical issues. But I made what I would now characterize as a vow to myself at that time to do everything in my power to prove them wrong. Similar to the Nazarites, I researched a lot, prayed constantly, undertook rituals, and made many sacrifices. With a lot of perseverance, and after major surgery and a little divine intervention, 3 months after my surgery, I was pregnant with the most precious gift, my greatest blessing of my life, my son, Teddy. By then, Peter's dad, Theodore, had passed away, and we named our son after him. While I was pregnant, my mother-in-law got sick. She came so close to dying, but told me she fought her heart out to stick around to see her grandchild be born. She never left the hospital, but she did make it to meet Teddy. For the rest of her days, she kept a picture of him next to her bed and told me she spent her last days with so much joy looking at his picture. About 6 weeks after Teddy was born, Peter's mom died. I was overcome with a great sadness that my in-laws were deprived of the opportunity to know him and him them, especially in light of all they lost. It seemed so unfair. When my son Teddy turned 7, I had what I might call an epiphany about my Judaism. I would look at my son regularly and think of my mother-in-law at his very age being sent off to the mountains to live with virtual strangers while her entire family was sent to die. She never saw them again. For the first time in my life, it really hit me that my being Jewish is not about what I believe or how I practice, but is really about who I am. And more importantly, who my son is. My son's direct ancestors went through so much and made huge sacrifices, persevered, and overcame so much that I could never imagine simply because of who they were. It was at that time that I committed to making my own vow to fully embrace my Judaism. My commitment is with the added hope that my son will joyfully embrace his Judaism and understand that it is truly the core of who he is and what came before him. That vow led me to this journey and experience of becoming B'not Mitzvah. I could never have expected how special and meaningful this journey could be for me. When I walked into class for the first time, I could not even read one Hebrew letter. Thanks to Laura Yupin, I can now read any Hebrew word or prayer if I put my mind to it. She is so patient and a wonderful teacher. Thanks to Ed Nickow, he put such deep and wonderful meaning to everything I was doing here. I could not have asked for a better role model and teacher, and his love of Judaism is infectious. Thanks to Rabbi Cohn for his guidance and inspiration in putting meaning to the Torah, and thanks to Rabbi Hart and Cantor Simon for their support and love. I am also so honored to have taken this journey with 7 wonderful women who I am so happy and blessed to call my friends. I know we will share this special bond for the rest of our lives. Although we often doubted it, we all finished together, and I am so proud of all of us. And of course, thanks to my family and friends for their love and support, and for allowing me to undertake this journey and sharing in it with me with such enthusiasm and love. I love you all and could not feel happier or more blessed than I do at this moment. Thank you.
This evening, we're going to hear some very powerful voices of our B'not Mitzvah. We're going to hear how they put themselves on a particular road at a particular time and place. When we think of strong women, We can also think of a very strong woman and a transcendent voice that we lost this week, Maya Angelou, poet and playwright and activist. She was a voice of freedom who took part in the civil rights movement. But more than that, she helped teach our nation about race. And she inspired all of us to choose our own pathways to freedom, even to redemption. Angelou taught, each of us has the right and the responsibility to assess the road which lies ahead and those over which we have traveled. And if the future road looms ominous and unpromising and the road back looks uninviting, then we need to gather our resolve and, carrying only the necessary baggage, step off that road into another direction. If the new choice is also unpalatable, without embarrassment, we must be ready to change that one as well. Well, thousands of years ago, our ancestors chose a unique road to freedom, one that literally led them through the Red Sea. Our voices now unite in song to celebrate the choice of that road, which led to our particular freedom, but also to inspire us to choose the right roads, which will lead to universal redemption. Micha Mocha, our song of freedom and redemption.
Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Norah Tehilo, Osei Feleh, Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? When Moses and the children crossed the sea, they sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Oh, Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh.
We continue on page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, La Shalom, Va'amidenu, Shomrenu, L'chaim. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up as our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, Hapores Sukat Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. As Cindy mentioned, our Torah portion discusses the Nazirite vow. We all take vows in life. I have taken several. One, to be married to my husband, Dave, and to be a good wife to him, to be a good mother to Max, and to be a genuinely good person. These are a few that I have achieved and continue to honor. I feel as though my spiritual connection to Judaism supports me to continue to honor these vows. What stood out to me as I read through the women's commentary, I learned that the word Nazir comes from the Hebrew root Nun Zayin Resh, meaning to dedicate or to set aside. Well, that is what I did. I dedicated myself to become Bat Mitzvah, and I set aside my Tuesday evenings for the last 2 years. I, just like the Nazarites, have dedicated myself to Judaism. While our dedications are so very different, they still are the same in some ways. My story began as I was watching all of my friends become Bar Bat Mitzvah. Most kids would have been more than happy to have foregone this ritual. Well, not me, but my mother decided that I wouldn't have one. I wasn't asked if I wanted one or if I had a thought either way. I think she felt, since school was very difficult for me growing up, and since girls in my family never became Bat Mitzvah, it was just the way it would be for me too. I knew in my heart that one day I would do this. I was always very drawn to Judaism. My family never belonged to a temple, and I always felt as though something was missing. I went to a youth group event with my friend Karen in the basement of a member's home who became one of my best friends here, and I was hooked. Temple Chai became my temple. I became very active in the youth group here, and I worked as a madrika in our Sunday school. I even stood on this very bima numerous times as a high schooler, sometimes feeling out of place since I didn't really know the prayers or really understand what we were reading. But knowing that one day I would become Bat Mitzvah here, I was given a membership with much convincing and effort, I believe, by Michael Rosenblum and the Sabas family. Thank you for helping me on this journey. I feel very fortunate to have been accepted into the Temple Chai family at that time because I struggled so much in school and needed an outlet to feel safe. Temple Chai was my home away from home and still is today. Because of my years in youth group here, my Jewish roots and my connection to Temple Chai are deeply seated. When I went off to college, I lost touch with most of my friends here, but found a few Jews at my very small college, and we became close friends. As I entered the real world, I was a youth director in Boston. When I returned to Chicago, I worked as a youth advisor and a Sunday school teacher. And thanks to Facebook, I have reconnected with my youth group friends. As I celebrate becoming Bat Mitzvah tonight, I have also reached another milestone, 18 years as a religious school teacher. I am a more knowledgeable teacher now, thanks to the past 2 years of study. As I stand here today and uphold the vow I set for myself many years before, I am saddened that some of my members of my family who supported me on this journey are no longer here physically, but I still feel their presence and support. And coincidentally, today is my grandmother's yahrzeit, so she's really here with me today. And I feel fortunate, so fortunate, that not only will I be able to understand and help Max one day with his Hebrew, but knowing that I can really accomplish what I put my mind to. I have the wings, I just needed to learn to fly. Sorry. I wouldn't have been able to do this without the support and encouragement from my amazing husband, who pushed me and realized my abilities to achieve this. I love you, Dave. I also want to thank Max for allowing me to leave one night a week to take this class and to listen to me study, even if it might have embarrassed you. Please know that I did this along with you as you were learning Hebrew this year to help guide you through your journey as well. I love you, Max. To my mother, for giving me the ability to realize my dreams and abilities in teaching me the traditions of being Jewish. I love you, Mom. To my aunt, I'm so glad that you're here today and to share this with me. And thank you for always supporting me. To my grandmother, who has always supported me through all that I do. I'm so glad you're here with me to share in this day. I love you, Grandma. And to my in-laws, for raising such a wonderful, kind son and teaching him to be a good person, and for always believing in me and always supporting me. I love you both. And to all my friends and family, thank you, and I love you all. Well, I didn't think it would take until I was 41 to uphold my vow to become Bat Mitzvah, but better late than not accomplishing. I am grateful that waiting meant I would share this experience with 7 wonderful women who shared these Tuesday nights with me for the last 2 years and who have fulfilled their own vows similar to mine. The 3 women I am sharing the Bima with tonight, Erica, Cindy, and Michelle, and the 4 women who rocked the Bima last Friday night, Stacy Berliner, Barb Green, Kitty Lowy, and Barry Sergel. I couldn't have done this without you all. Thank you. And it is a true testament to the sisterhood of women. I hope we continue to spend time with each other in the days ahead. To Laura Yupin, thank you for giving me the foundation to start my journey with Hebrew and being kind, patient, and supporting. And Ed Nickow, well, there are no words. Thank you for giving yourself and all of your thoughts and ideas and supporting us crazy women over this year. You are amazing, Ed. Lastly, I'd like to thank the amazing clergy here at Temple High, Rabbi Hart, Rabbi Cohn, Cantor Simon. Without all of your guidance and support, I wouldn't be standing here, so thank you. Thank you to everyone for coming this evening, and Shabbat Shalom.
Starting on page 164, we prepare ourselves to unite our voices in collective prayer. We will chant together the first 3 blessings of this rubric, of this section of our worship service this evening. But then we'll have an opportunity to offer personal prayers. We can think about the importance of vows, the importance of dedicating ourselves to a particular cause or a particular principle. When you feel like you have finished this section of our service, which goes all the way to page 181, at that point, please feel free to be seated. But now we turn to page 164. We rise.
Adonai, Sifatai Tifta, Ufi Agi Lilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. La 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 la, 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 la la la. Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula, Lifnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Shalom
Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Chasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Chasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech ador, Lekol HaShalom. Ki ata hu melech ador, Lekol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Chasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Chasim Le'olam. Beto beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bekoreinu v'chosha B'shlomecha. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Yisrael Amcha, Tazim Leolam, Tazim Leolam, Tazim Leolam, Tazim Leolam, Tazim Leolam.
Shabbat Shalom. I stand before you 25 years older than the girl I was when I could have become Bat Mitzvah. Why now? Why at all? My third grade son, Jacob, has begun his journey towards becoming Bar Mitzvah. My daughter, Danielle, is not too far behind him. I want to play an active role in their journeys, understand what they are learning, teach them what I know. I didn't want to just observe. I took this step for them, but I'm also doing this for me. Growing up, we didn't have the means to continue going to synagogue after my brother had his bar mitzvah. I was 7 years old, and honestly, I wasn't too upset that I was going to get to sleep in on Sundays and watch cartoons. Besides, at the time, most girls in my family didn't become B'not Mitzvah. As years went on, I always felt a connection to Judaism, but I was totally disconnected from Jewish life. I had no Jewish friends, didn't live in a Jewish area, and had very limited knowledge about the culture and the religion. There was a void, and I felt it. On my first day of college, in the hopes of reconnecting with Judaism, I joined Hillel, the Jewish student organization, looking for my Judaism, looking for a community, looking for a way to feel more Jewish. While in college, I made a vow. I chose to stop eating pork and shellfish. This week's Parsha discusses the Nazir, one who makes a vow to abstain from specific behaviors. No drinking wine, no eating grapes, no cutting hair. Some sages suggest that by abstaining from these activities, the Nazir could achieve holiness or become closer to God. A very interesting idea. Did abstaining from bacon and shrimp make me more Jewish or closer to God? A couple years later, I decided to fast for Yom Kippur. Did following this ritual make me more Jewish? A better Jew? I really don't believe so. But these choices did make me very conscious and aware of being Jewish. These choices made me think. I continued to adopt rituals throughout the years, and I realize now that I wasn't just trying to feel more Jewish, but I was also searching for ways to feel part of the community. I wanted to prove that I belonged, that I counted too. In this week's portion, God asked Moses to take a census of the Levites. Why was it important to count the people? Rashi, a medieval French rabbi whose biblical commentary has been studied for centuries, suggests that counting the people was an act of divine love. God counted each and every person in order to convey to each member how they were cherished and beloved. I wanted to be counted and valued too, and it has been through this journey that I finally feel like I am. I wouldn't be here today fulfilling this achievement without the love, support, and guidance of many people. My husband, Ryan, and my two beauties, Jacob and Danielle, have cheered me on and have been so much a part of this journey. They have had the joy of listening to me practice for hours on end. In fact, all three know my portion so well that they will be singing backup. The former Hillel director at Loyola, Patty Ray, reintroduced me to all aspects of Judaism with no judgment and complete and total love. She allowed me to ask questions that I was embarrassed not to know. Laura Yupin and Ed Nickow are amazing and very, very patient with us chatty ladies. They have taught me how to read Hebrew and actively participate in the service, a priceless gift. Thank you. Cantor Simon, Rabbi Hart, and Rabbi Cohen, thank you for your guidance, wisdom, and support. There are countless others who have taught me, supported me, and cheered me on. I cannot name all of you, but please know that I value all the encouragement and love. To my fellow classmates, it's been a journey I wouldn't want to share with anyone else. We've laughed, cried, been terrified, been doubtful we could pull this off, but we did it. As Roberta Goodman said last year, Tuesday nights are just not going to be the same. And finally, I cannot thank people and not thank my mother. She was not able to help me with my Hebrew or sing any of the prayers. But as always, she cared, she listened, and she is proud of me. And I guess I am proud of me too. Thank you.
We continue on page 363. Hakel et ha'am ha'ashanim v'hanashim v'haktaf hagercha asher bisharacha. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of the Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God.
Hakel et ha'am. Gather the people. Gather the friends, the family, the community. Joining together in acknowledging wonderful journeys, celebrating Jewish journeys. 4 wonderful women in our congregation on this Shabbat who serve as role models to each and every one of us through their vows and through their commitments. And so now we join together in the words that we'll find on the stained glass that is right in back of us here, the words of Shema, of listening, of hearing, and of oneness. As we say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, Adonai is great, holy is God's name.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai HaGedola v'HaGevura v'HaTiferet v'HaNetzach v'HaHod Ki kol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Ki kol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlaka v'Amit Na'aseh L'kol L'rosh. Lecha Adonai HaGedola v'HaGvura v'HaTiferet v'HaNetzach v'HaHod Ki kol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Lecha Adonai HaGedola v'HaGvura Lecha Adonai La 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 la. Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Haolam, Haolam Omed. Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Haolam, Haolam Omed. Allah Torah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilut chasadim. Allah Torah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilut chasadim. Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Haolam, Haolam Omed. Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Haolam Omed. Allo Adevarim, Haolam, Haolam Omed. Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Haolam Omed. Allo Adevarim, Haolam, Haolam Omed. Al HaTorah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al HaTorah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilut chasadim. Allo Adevarim, Allo Adevarim, Haolam Omed. Allo Adevarim, Haolam, Haolam Omed.
Please be seated.
Shalom, 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 shalom. Echaim milam hakazitim babetum, echad meoshar. Echaim milam hakazitim babetum, echad meoshar. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is the tree of life to those that will pass through it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life to those that will pass through it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom.
So we've already had the opportunity to hear wonderful insights into the portion of the Parsha that we will hear in just a few moments, if not so. This portion, which is in the fourth book of the Torah, book of Numbers or of Bamidbar. It's a portion, yes, that talks about the Nazir, that talks about the special commitments that one makes to achieve a holy and a sacred life. It's a portion of counting and of taking of census of the families of the Levites who had special responsibility for all of the holy objects that were carried in the wilderness as they were schlepping along all of the parts of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, and all of the families of the Levites who had the special responsibility to care for all of those holy objects. And towards the very end of the portion, and we will come to these words once again, the blessing of the priest, of Birkat Kohanim, that God should watch over us, guard us, that God's light should shine upon us, and that God should give us all peace. And so these are the words of Parashat Naso, of the portion of Naso. And for those who would like to be able to follow and may have the larger Plout commentaries that are before you in your seats, you can turn to page 927, Numbers chapter 6, beginning with verse 13, page 927.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'torah.
Ta'amod, Sipa dobra, Bad Yehuda v'Lezer Hirsch, B'not Mitzvah, Likro et HaTorah.
As we call forward now for our first Kriyah and the honor of reading Torah, Cindy Braun.
Vizot Torat Hanazir Bayom Milot Yamei Nizro Yavi Oto El Petach Ohel Moed V'hikriv et Korbano Ladonai Keves Ben Shanato Tamim Echad Li'olah V'chavsa Achat Bat Shanata Tamima L'chatat V'ayil Echad Tamim Lishlamim V'sal Matzot Solat Chalot Bilulot Bashamen Orkike Matzot Mitzuchim Bashamen Umin Chatam V'niz Kehem.
Ta'amod, Esther Leah, Bat Rivka, V'Ruven Gedalia, B'not Mitzvah, Likro et HaTorah.
For our next Kriyah, in the honor of reading and chanting words of Torah, we now call forward Michelle Meyer-Edley.
V'hikriv hakohen lifnei Adonai ve'asa et chatato ve'et olato ve'et ha'ayil ya'aseh zevach shlamim l'Adonai al sal hametzot ve'asa HaKohen et minchato ve'et nizko v'gilak hanazir et rosh nizro velakach et seor rosh nizro venatan al ha'esh asher tachat zevach hashlamim.
Ta'amod tikvarasol bat lerakol habat mitzvah likro et haTorah.
For our next Kriya in this honor of chanting words of Torah, we now call forward our Bat Mitzvah, Tracy Kogan.
Velachach hakohen et hazroa b'shelah min ha'ayil v'chalat matzah achat min hasal or kik matzah echad v'natan al kapeh hanazir a'achar hitgalcho at nizro v'heniv otam hakohen tenufa lifnei Adonai kodesh hu lakohen al hazeh hatnufa ve'al shok hatruma V'achar yishte hanazir yayin zot Torat hanazir asher yidor korbano la'adonai al nizro milvad asher tasig yado Kafi nidro asher yidor ken yaaseh al Torat nizro.
For our final Kriya and this chanting words of Torah, we now call forward our Bat Mitzvah, Erica Belba.
Ta'amon Chana Devora bat Yehudit Shendel v'Hershel habat mitzvah likro et haTorah.
Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el Aharon va'el banav lemor. Ko tivarachu et bnei Yisrael amor lahem. Yevarechecha Adonai Vayishmarecha Ya'er Adonai Panav Elecha Vichuneka Yisa Adonai Panav Elecha Vayasem Lecha Shalom Visamu et Shemi Al B'nei Yisrael, Va'ani Avarachem.
In the presence of Torah, dear friends, and as our tradition teaches us, our thoughts turn at this moment to all of those within our greater community who were in need of refuah, of healing of mind and of body and of spirit. And so I'd ask at this moment that we now draw close to each of our own hearts, the neshama, the soul and the spirit of family members and loved ones and friends who we pray for on this Shabbat. Page 371. Page 371. As we say, Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim, we praise you, Adonai, who brings comfort and healing to the sick.
Asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Let us all rise together, please, as the Torah is lifted and dressed. Placed before the children of Israel, fulfill the word of God. Is the Torah that Moses placed before the children of Israel, fulfill the word of God. Zot HaTorah Asher Sham Moshe B'nei Yisrael
Adonai B'not Moshe.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm a bit of a crier too, so we'll see how this goes. As my classmates mentioned, Parshat Naso talks about vows and holiness. The Nazarites took vows and followed laws to dedicate themselves to God. They abstained from drinking wine and other intoxicants. They even let their hair grow to show others that they had taken this vow. The word Nazir comes from the root word meaning to separate oneself. The Nazarites separated themselves from the common people by abstaining, and therefore they were considered more holy than most. There are many reasons why I've decided to become an adult bat mitzvah. They range from setting an example for my children to fulfilling a commitment and mitzvot of being Jewish. Growing up, I did not belong to a synagogue. I always considered my family more culturally Jewish than religiously Jewish. On holidays, we always got together and ate the "they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat" meal. But besides eating, there were not many Jewish rituals involved. Although I grew up in a Jewish area and many Jewish friends, I was not part of any formal Jewish community. Of course, as a 13-year-old, I didn't mind that I didn't have to go to Hebrew school. As a result, when I was in my 20s, I struggled with not knowing what it really meant to be Jewish. At that time, my bubby Charlotte bought me a book called What It Means to Be a Jew. I was hoping that it would help me with the questions I had about what I should be doing, saying, or eating on each holiday, service, or Seder. But really, books can't teach you what practice and community can. In a sense, I felt as if I really didn't belong. When I got married, I knew I wanted to raise our children differently than I was raised. So when our first son, Michael, was old enough, we joined Temple Chai. While studying our Parsha and throughout our many discussions in class, I started to ask myself, what does it really mean to belong? Did it mean I have to take more vows as the Nazarites did? Did I need to become more holy? What does it even mean to be holy? And how can I achieve this holiness? Is it through studying Torah, attending Friday night and high holy day services? Is it by cleaning my house for Passover and fasting on Yom Kippur? Well, I guess the answers to those questions depend upon whom you ask. I believe that taking vows and becoming holy is all in the eye of the beholder. If I choose to eat on Yom Kippur or kindle Shabbat candles only on occasion, that does not make me any less holy than the person who does it differently than me. I believe differences are only differences, and one is not better than the other. My belonging to this community, to my Jewish family, is still a work in progress. I know so much more now than I did 4 years ago when we joined Temple Chai. Don't get me wrong, I want to continue to learn about my heritage and the customs and tradition that go along with it. Maybe one day there will be a tradition or a ritual that I end up following that I didn't in the past. I would love for my children to know what I didn't at their age, so that they have a sense of belonging as they grow up. I want to teach them about achieving holiness through respecting others, hard work, and a life of honesty and integrity, as well as living a life of a good Jew. I want to thank the clergy for this amazing opportunity. I want to thank my teachers, Laura and Ed, for their dedication to teaching Hebrew and religious education. To my classmates, all 7 of you, I love each and every one of you. I will not necessarily miss coming to class in the rain and snow and cold, although you accepted me in my pajamas several times. I will miss our time together. These past 2 years have been so memorable. We have learned and laughed together and even cried from time to time. These are the memories that make for a happy life. And last, but certainly not least, to my family. Mom, thank you for always being there for me. I love you very much. Mike, thank you for your ongoing support and your unconditional love. And to Michael and to Gavin, I hope you embrace this place we call Temple. Take advantage of all it has to offer. You will not regret it. Thank you.
Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismecha vo. That this is a day that God has made, that we should be happy and we should rejoice together in it. This is truly a moment that God has made. Your path, your journey, your stories that you have shared in such an eloquent and personal and loving way. And tonight we have this wonderful opportunity, your family, your friends, your congregational family here at Temple High, to celebrate your journey, to celebrate your learning, to celebrate your connection to the Torah, and to this remarkable night that we are so very blessed to share with each and every one of you. In Jewish tradition, this is the first day of a Hebrew month. This is a Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the Hebrew month of Sivan. And we are taught that Rosh Chodesh, the celebration of a new month, is a special holiday meant just for women. It's a woman's celebration. For we are taught that when the people gathered together to build the golden calf, that the women of the community refused to bring their gold, to bring their jewelry, to build the golden calf. And in acknowledgement of that moment, that day of the first day of the month was given over to all of the women for all eternity as a day of celebration and of love. So here we are, celebrating your B'not Mitzvah together on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, this first day of the month of Sivan, a day which is given over to the women for love and for celebration. And also acknowledging that when we come to the Torah, we always begin with a blessing and we end with a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah, that God gives us the Torah. Not gave us the Torah, but is giving us the Torah. At whatever moment in our life, at whatever age, the Torah is there for us, if we choose to take it into our hearts and into our lives. Notein haTorah, the Torah has been given on this journey to each of you. You have accepted it, you have studied it, you have lived it, and now you have taught it. And so for this night, and for this gift, and for each and every one of you, and celebrating this Rosh Chodesh, this beginning of the new month, that we now conclude with words of blessing that come from your Torah portion, that come from your parashah, that the Kohanim, the ancient priests, lifted up their hands, and they blessed the entire community. As we will now, with the words of the Birkat Kohanim, with these words of blessing, invoke all of God's goodness, all of God's light to a life of peace and well-being.
May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai always shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Adonai continue to turn towards you, towards your immediate families, towards your extended families, towards our congregational family. And together may we create a world of shalom.
Amen. Amen.
Teachers, mentors, they guide our path. And so I'd now like to invite Ed Nickow, Laura Upin, if you please join us as well for these very special gifts on behalf of Temple High.
He's disappeared. Yeah. Why don't you come over? Oh, Debbie. Okay, good. So I told you I had the challenge of writing two entirely different drashes for giving these gifts. So it's different, but I'm going to start exactly the same way I did last week, saying Yasher Koach, congratulations to each of you. I don't want to turn all the way around. Come over here. Thank you. So we've just started studying, reading from the book of Numbers. This was the second portion of the book of Numbers. In the next book, Deuteronomy, there's a passage that goes like this. It says, "Surely this instruction which I enjoin on you this day is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond reach." I know that when you first looked at this week's portion, not so, you thought it was a bit baffling. But you discussed it with Rabbi Cohn, you read some commentaries, and soon realized that you could find some meaning in the text and that it was not beyond your reach. And although each of you talked about the Nazarites tonight, who separated themselves from the community, I thought it was interesting that in each of your Divrei Torah, you taught us about the importance of connections, about belonging. Tracy, you found your way back to Temple Chai to renew the sense of belonging you experienced as a teenager. Michelle, you questioned whether certain rituals brought you closer to God, but ultimately concluded it was about being part of a community. Erica, you realized that the details of the different ways we practice rituals is not as important as teaching our children about the importance of belonging. And Cindy, your statement that who you are is more important than what you believe is the essence of being part of a sacred community. It was beautiful what you all said. That passage that I read from Deuteronomy concludes later, "No, the thing is very close to you, in your mouths and in your hearts to observe it." With the lessons you taught us tonight, you showed how you have indeed taken the words of Torah to heart. And now, some gifts. Given to you by the sisterhood and the brotherhood and the congregation, and because you were sitting in the congregation last week, you're not going to be surprised when I tell you that in each of the bags are beautiful candlesticks, which we hope you will use often, and for each of you, a copy of the book on the doorposts of your house, a wonderful resource in which you'll find rituals and readings not just for Shabbat, and not just for the things I mentioned last week, but also for things like moving into a new home, wedding anniversaries, going to Israel, and even celebrating a birthday. I know you will not let this book sit on a shelf. And then some thanks. This evening would not have been possible without what you learned last year from the wonderful Laura Yupin. Laura has the inevitable task of taking our students, both school-age and adults, through their first year of Hebrew study. I'm not sure how you do it, Laura, but I am grateful beyond words that by the time they come to my class, our students are capable readers. Thank you very much. And finally, to each of you, because I had the privilege of teaching all of you this year, I believe I'm a better teacher, I'm a better student, and I'm a better Jew. So Rav Todot, thank you very much. Yasher Koach, congratulations, and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. You're very welcome.
Well, thank you, Ed, and thank you, Laura. And Mazel Tov again to this amazing B'not Mitzvah class. We now return to Mishkan Tefillah. On page 586, we find Aleinu, our adoration. We rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo samkelkinu kahem, vegoralenu kechol hamonam. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
There are so many memories in this sanctuary right now. So many memories. And this is now our sacred opportunity to ensure that those who came here for a particular reason, to hear the name of their loved one read, the name of their loved one who has passed away, to ensure that those memories remain in our hearts, but more importantly, they remain in our actions. The first names that I will read this evening refer to individuals who have recently passed away. If you're comfortable when I read the name of your loved one, please rise at that time. And this is our opportunity to recognize you, to see where you are, and of course to offer our strength and our reassurance and our love to you. We first remember Irene Zellen, aunt of Gail Weiner and great-aunt of Jamie and Jason, Blossom Collins, mother of Michelle Holtzman, Frances Agrest, sister-in-law of Roz Agrest and aunt of Glenn, Bruce Fallert, stepfather of Annette Burke and grandfather of Alana, Ethan, and Sharon, Harriet Levy, mother of Fran Sachs and grandmother of Corey and Amy, great-grandmother of Mackenzie and Brody, Bernard Meyerson, the uncle of Stephen Hart, and Rhonda Cohen, aunt of Jennifer Zielinski. On our annual yurtsite list, we remember Leonora Dannenberg, Ben Goldfarb, Bert Goodman, Morris Gorman, Andrew Greenstein, Joseph Hacker, Robert Halperin, Harriet Heinrich, Mitchell Hirsch, Michael Horwitz, Molly Jacobson, Jean Juday, Gertrude Kliegerman, Alvin Lerner, Leona Letman, Erlinda Pagilian, Charlotte Paskind, Harold Sabis, Anita Schaefer, Lucinda Schaffner, Leah Sherritt Schechtman, Roberta Bobby Shenwar, Sam Shamash, Richard Schenfeld, Bertie Simon, Lynn Weiss, Mamie Witz, Etta Zaritsky. Are there any other individuals we would like to remember this evening? May all of the memories of these individuals remain a blessing. Zikronam livracha. We now turn to page 598, and as a united kahal, a united congregation, we rise to recite the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'kadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach chiruteh v'amlich malchuteh, v'chaye echon v'yom echon, v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lameh almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitbromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Aseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity, to which we say together, amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
We remain standing as we join together in Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom. Page 598.
Oseh Shalom b'mroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu.
ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
When we think of shalom, we think of peace. But when we think of shalom, we also think of wholeness and completeness. And there's no way we can have wholeness and completeness without good food, without a good challah. So please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. May this Shabbat continue to be a Shabbat of holiness, of completeness, and of peace. Shabbat shalom.